Just so everybody knows, we will be recording this session and you'll receive a recording of the session and a summary next week, early next week.
So I'm going to chat with you for a few moments. My name is Kathy Hibbert, and I have the honor of being the Associate Dean of the Teacher Education Program. So I want to welcome you not just to our program, but to the profession. This year marks the 40th year that I've been in teaching, which is hard to believe. It has flown by. And we want to take a few moments to introduce you to the office and the folks that you're going to be working with most closely. So you can see we've given you a little outline, and as Rebecca said, this will come with the recording so you can refer back to it for whatever you need. And I would just like to go through the people on this list and give you some idea of what kinds of supports that they offer. So we'll start at the top left. Claire Tattersall is our program manager. And like Rebecca, you will hear a lot from Claire because Claire is providing the oversight for the whole program and any accommodations that students need. If you are a student who does need accommodation, please make sure that you register with accommodation, accessible education, it's called. We as a faculty of education take accommodations very seriously. And we actually take a universal design to learning approach, which you will learn about in this program, and encourage our instructors to organize and create course outlines that reflect that. But when you have questions, we hope that giving you this little overview will help you know who to go to when those questions arise. Eliza Chan is one of our newer staff members, and she is serving as an administrative assistant, and she will help you with all the various documents that you get to submit, including things like the police check, the bus passes, reporting practicum absences, all of those kinds of things. So if you're sending forms in, it's likely Eliza that it's going to go to. Wendy Bernier is the Practicum and Field Experience Assistant, and she can help with, as it says there, board requests and board requirements. We work with about 44 different boards across the province of Ontario. And as you can imagine, each board has somewhat different requirements of teacher candidates. We've tried to put in place some generalized requirements to make sure that you're in good stead, but Wendy and Joanne will help you ensure that you know where to look for the particular board requirements, and they will help with practicum requests, and they'll talk about that, I'm sure, a little bit later on. You, as a teacher education candidate, cannot set up your own practica. It all has to be managed through our practicum office. Wendy works closely with Joanne Lombardi, who is our practicum and communications coordinator. And when you are in practica, Joanne in particular is the key person who liaises with the associate teachers, ensures that if you need support during your practica that you get it, and can help you sort out transition to practice, T2P ideas. Transition to professional practice actually is what we call it. Rebecca, you already know, most of you, because she's been the one you've been in touch with to get admitted into the program and to make sure that you have all the courses that you need for whatever stream you've come into. Erin Peterson is our program coordinator, and she helps look after the alternative field experience, which you'll be learning more about. She organizes the Transition to Professional Practice series. She looks after all of the things that we put into OWL, including for each of your courses, and web communications. And I think it's important to point out here that we did a survey of our students a couple of years ago. I think it was year one of the pandemic, although pandemic time is quite fuzzy. But we did a really comprehensive survey to find out what the communications were like and how they were experienced at the student end of things. And we got really great feedback. And we've taken all of that feedback actually and completely revised our communications last year. And I think it's a much more organized set of experiences now. You'll notice that you get regular communications from Erin in the form of newsletters, and we really encourage you to watch those newsletters carefully. Things that you need to access on a regular basis will be posted in OWL, which is our platform, our online platform where your course syllabi, etc., will be located. We also have a teacher candidate blog, and of course our website. We find our website is more traditionally oriented to students who might be searching for what program to take. And although there is a current students tab on the website, sometimes we find you have to dig a little bit for the information. So we try to help facilitate your ability to find that by making it really visible and the information you need to know really visible through the newsletters. Mavis Wellington is our International Baccalaureate Program Coordinator. So if anybody is looking for certification in an International Baccalaureate to add to your CV, you can contact Mavis and you will be receiving information throughout the year when they are launching a new program as well. Song Do is brand new. Song is a recruitment officer who is focused not only on recruiting to teacher education, but also to help you understand as teacher candidates what grad programs we have available if you wish to continue your education, and all of the Aspire courses. And Aspire courses include things like the additional qualifications for teachers that are run through the College of Teachers, where you can get additional courses in areas of specialization. So for example, there is a part 1, 2, and 3 of special education, a part 1, 2, and 3 of reading instruction, if you want to get into a specific curriculum area, but there are also courses that help you get additional certification in an area. If you're in primary junior, for example, and you want to certify as an intermediate instructor, you can take an intermediate additional basic qualification that adds that level, but you have to also make sure that you meet the requirements to take the qualification, because once you get into IS, you start to need teachables. So those folks can help you figure out what things are available to you and what you might need to do to get that. And finally, my role as the Associate Dean is more at the policy and program level. So I'll be talking to you a little more specifically as we go through this morning, communicating any decisions that come from the university as a whole, from the ministry, and from the College of Teachers. What's interesting and a little unique in a professional program is we have multiple masters. So we must meet the requirements of Quality Education Council in Ontario, from Western University Senate, the Ministry of Education, and the College of Teachers. So there are multiple people that we must satisfy in terms of our program requirements. We have just gone through what we call an ICAP approval, which is the internal quality approval for Quality Council for the province. And it's done at the university level, but it's when reviewers from outside institutions come and look at our program and decide whether or not it satisfies the requirements. And it did. So we're good there. In 2024, we go up for our next cycle of certification from the College of Teachers. We've always been in good standing, and we aim to continue to be in good standing. but it is a process, and it is a process that's been changing. They take in new information, new requirements from the ministry, and so on. So we'll be working through that in preparation for the accreditation in 2024. And just communicating with you to let you know where we are in the process. At some point in that process, they actually want to hear from students, and as we do as well. So if Rebecca goes to the next slide, I will show you that there are some other folks that are really critical to helping us work with our program. And starting on the top left, the Education Students Council President. This year, you have a president elected by the name of Zachary Bader Shamai. I have met with Zach, and we will be setting up multiple meetings throughout the year. And you can see in his description, it says he can help with getting involved with Students Council, with program events. I know Students Council also runs a conference week throughout the year. And we have what we call a Student Advisory Council. And I'll be talking to Zachary about that, because it's really important as we are working through our program that we hear from students along the way, not just at the end in a survey or a instructor questionnaire. Students like yourselves have been extremely instrumental in having us redesign a number of things that we've done in our program this year. The technical support portal is always very important, especially as you're getting things set up and you need to reset your password or you have technical issues. You'll see that there's a self-serve address there, and there's also something called a JIRA ticket, J-I-R-A. The JIRA ticket is what you submit. You choose whether it's a software issue or just what your problem is, describe it to the best of your ability, and then it goes into a queue and they assign it to the appropriate person to help you. So it's quite efficient. There are some additional Students Council social media sites that are listed there that you can join and start getting in touch with the current students that are on Students Council and in year 2. And then we always highlight Rosie Treibner, who is our Director of Community Engagement and Development. You'll hear from her as you enter the program, and more so after you leave the program, because she looks after all of the great things that come with being an alumni of Western. So I want to talk to you about a couple of important things to keep in mind as we are looking at what it means to enter a professional program. We thought one of the first things to bring to your attention is the fact that unlike a grad program, or sorry, unlike an undergraduate program where you come in and you may have 5 courses to attend, this professional program, I want you to think about as if you are going to work. It is a full-time program. It is a professional program. And as such, it means that when you are engaging in your courses, you have to treat it as though you are going to your job. The college actually requires you to attend classes. So, you know, unlike your undergrad, if you miss classes, especially if you miss 2 in a row, we will be looking for you. We shouldn't have to, because as a professional, it's your responsibility to be in touch with your instructors if you know you have to miss, or if you are ill for some reason. There is very likely a requirement that you will make up what you missed. And as you can see, there are 11 to 15 courses per term in year 1, and 8 to 12 courses per term, depending on your stream and depending on your specialization area, with 21 to 31 hours of class per week and 16 to 24 in year 2. That's a significant jump compared to your classes in the past. We say this so purposefully at the beginning of the year because we do know that some students will try to work part-time while they are doing their program. I remember having to work when I was a student, and it was a requirement for me. I couldn't have got through school without it, but I did ensure that, I kept the hours reasonable. And I definitely made sure that when I was on Practica, I was not working at all. It's not possible for you to do a good job in Practica and try to work at the same time. So please know that at this stage. We've also used this information in our orientation and our work with our instructors. And we've done a lot of work in the last couple of years with our instructors and with the information that we've been gathering to ensure that these courses, some of which are full year, some of which are half a course, and some of which are a quarter of a course. So a quarter of a course is 18 hours, a half course is 36 hours, a full course is 72 hours. So that should bring some of the alarm down when you see the number of courses per term. But we've also ensured that our instructors are being reasonable in terms of the readings assigned between a full course and a quarter course, for example. So we have taken a really close look at that and worked with our students in past years to, just ensure that what we were doing was both meeting the Ontario College of Teachers requirements, but also making it reasonable. And something that you may or may not know, we introduced, I think it was 2019, 2020, a pass-fail system in our program. We did this for several reasons. We had come together as a group of staff and instructors and board partners and teacher candidates to take a look at our program and ask ourselves if we were meeting the needs of the profession. As I said, we have so many masters that are asking for all these various things to be in the program. We wanted to make sure that we were still in alignment with what the profession needed. And one of the things that concerned us was, well, first of all, congratulations to those of you that got in. It's a very competitive program. And that means that you're high achieving students in your undergrad. And as high achieving students, you come into a professional school. We put you in courses where when we were doing numerical grading, there was kind of a behavior in those courses that mimicked the undergrad. And so the people that came into my office to have conversations about their courses were talking about why they were getting an 89 in something instead of a 92. And that is not the focus we want you to have in this program. You've already demonstrated that you are capable, high achieving students. What you need to demonstrate now in a professional program is that you are making that shift from thinking about you and what you're getting to thinking about what you are learning and how that's going to support your ability to teach your own future students. And so we made the switch to pass fail, and it far more seamlessly aligns with the new teacher induction program that you'll engage in when you become teachers, that is run through each board. And it is a supportive, practical assessment process that teaches you how to identify areas that you may need some development in, how to set goals to develop those areas, so that when you are off probation and you are assessed as a professional by your principal, you are asked to create what's called an annual learning plan. And that annual learning plan does exactly what I've just said. It invites you to have a conversation with your principal. They may come and view your teaching in class. They will look at what courses you're taking, what things that you are doing actively to strengthen areas that you need to grow in, and you have to put that together. So to support that process, in addition to being pass-fail, which is more growth-oriented, you are also supported through a master teacher mentor group. And the Master Teacher Mentor Group divides you into groups of 12 under the guidance of a mentor for the 2-year period that you're with us. And you meet a couple of times each month that you are in class, and for a couple of hours each time. And those mentors help you begin and develop something called a professional practice record. And that professional practice record is your ability to take a look at what you're doing in all your classes and compare that with the competencies that the College of Teachers expects you to develop as a teacher candidate. And it scaffolds your learning and your ability to identify those areas where you need more growth, those areas that you are doing well at, and begin documenting and identifying ways to further develop. You will be doing some peer assessment. You'll be doing some self-assessment in that year. You'll be doing a presentation at the end of each year to an external partner. So one of the leaders from the school board, it could be a principal, it could be a superintendent, it could be a learning coordinator. They will come and sit with your Master Teacher Mentor group, and you will present to them what you have learned in your first year, and then again, what you've learned in your second year. This is always a little bit scary to people at the beginning because they've not done anything like this before, but it is a well-supported program, and we have found that our teacher candidates overwhelmingly have told us that this is the piece that brought it all together for them, and they've really developed their ability to transition from being a student to being a professional. So it's a really important piece of the program. And I noticed too that Rebecca has included a link at the bottom. The teachercandidate.com is a blog that is part of our communications package that we use with you. And she's indicated there that that's where you will find schedules for the program. So the scheduling is not complete yet because we are in the process right now finalizing the hiring of all the instructors. Once we know exactly which instructors are teaching which course, we can finalize the schedule. And as soon as it's ready, it will be communicated to you. The last thing that I'm going to talk about is curriculum innovation in a program where our vision is transforming education, transforming lives. We take that really, really seriously. And a couple of years ago, we were able to get some funding from the university to really dig into some curriculum innovation. And in this particular example, what we mean by innovation is how we are working within our courses to serve students who have historically and may continue to be marginalized. We understand that, you know, in Southwestern Ontario, in London, Ontario, at Western, that our undergrad students are predominantly a very privileged group, but not solely. But more importantly is we're sending you out to teach anywhere that the Ontario curriculum certificate is recognized. So you may be teaching anywhere in Ontario. You may be teaching in a school internationally that has that uses Ontario curriculum, or you may get certified with whatever is required in a different province of Canada. And so you may be teaching in vastly different areas than the one you're educated in. And so our teacher preparation program is designed to ensure that when you complete this program, you are aware of the need for equity, diversity, inclusion, indigenization, reconciliation, all of these things that are super prevalent in our discussions in society right now. And we do that in a number of ways. We have just a year ago, I think, invited about 23 students. 3 of them were grad students and the rest were teacher education candidates, to go through every single course and look at whether or not we were including, for example, representative authors in the readings that we were giving you, whether we were including information on anti-racist education, anti-Black racism, information on Islamophobia, information on anti-Semitism, all of these things that the ministry has also been highlighting and the college has been highlighting. And I think it's important to point out here a couple of things. Number one, your teacher education program is a comprehensive program that includes literally everything that you do. So some of these things will come through courses. Some of them will come through workshops that have been organized and provided to you through what is called the Transition to Professional Practice series, T2P for short. Some of these things will come through your alternative field experience, which is AFE, and that is hosted by people in the community. For example, Children's Aid Society, Museum London, Boys and Girls Club. There's just all kinds of possibilities that you could get involved in. And of course, some of it comes through Practica. I know when I came into teaching, I thought about things in terms of what I did at the university and what I did in the schools. And of course, I wanted to be in the schools. I had finished my undergraduate education and couldn't wait to get out. However, the program is run as a whole. Our associate teachers are partners in the education of our teacher candidates. So it's not a either or, it's not a one place or another. We are working together to create a really holistic program for you. And the last thing I want to say is we're not a teacher's college. We are a faculty of education, and you are getting a Bachelor of Education. So whenever you hear the word teacher's college, whenever you hear covering curriculum or delivering curriculum or training, I want you to think about that as instrumental language that's been borrowed from other professions and does not apply here. You are being educated as professionals, as critical thinkers who are responsible for the learning of your future students. And despite what gets published in the press, and you'll see lots, despite all of the hammering sometimes that you get on social media as teachers, it's important to hold your head up high and to learn the professionalism of teacher education and respond as professionals. So I'm going to pause there and turn it back over to Rebecca.
So I think it's my turn, right, Rebecca?
Thank you, Claire.
Okay. So it's nice to meet everybody. My name is Claire, and I'm the manager now in the Faculty of Education. I've been here for 2 months. Woohoo! So when it says that I can help you with all aspects of the program, I will be learning alongside you about all aspects of the program. And I'm perfectly comfortable with that, because one of the things that I want all of you to recognize is that it's really important for you to fail. And that sounds like a bizarre statement. And I'm not saying I want you to actually come in and just be crappy and fail your classes. I want you to be willing to put yourself in a situation where you're not sure if you can do what you're about to do. Because if you only do what you know you can already do, you'll never do what you had no idea you could do. So I want you to be comfortable, just like I am, with a little bit of failure in every day. And what I say to the team here, because they've seen me fail every day since I've been here for the last 2 months, is I use that as an opportunity to role model. See, I just want you guys to feel confident and good about yourself. And so when you're out on this recognition that failure is a really important part of the process of learning. And and coming into this program, hopefully that'll help you to feel like, yeah, I just failed, but now I'm going to learn from that. And that's okay. So don't be afraid if you're feeling overwhelmed. Don't be afraid if you're feeling like you don't know what you're doing, because it's just about learning through that ignorance and getting to a place of more confidence. So we're going to take some time and answer a bunch of the questions that you submitted. So Rebecca, if you want to move us forward to the next slide, we'll get into this. So I'm new to Western, what should I know? So there's lots and lots of things that if you are new to Western are really exciting. And it's going to hopefully be one of these, I feel like a transformative time, because we're getting back to being in person. And there's so many amazing things from intramural sports to support services on campus to clubs and societies that you can join. If there's a club or society that you think should exist that doesn't, you can create that. So it really is a place where we like to celebrate the diversity of people, the diversity of interests. So I encourage you to not just stay in the Faculty of Education, because we're set a little bit back from the main campus, but to get involved and take some time to enjoy all that there is at this institution. In September, we will be hosting an orientation. It's planned to be hybrid, so hopefully most of you can come in person, because it's going to be lovely to actually see real people, but we will have an online option as well, so that if you are still away somewhere or you haven't moved back, that you'll still be able to participate. We strongly encourage you to participate in that. Like Kathy said, every aspect of this program is a part of your education. It's not just what's happening in the classroom, it's everything that's happening around you throughout your entire experience here. So we encourage you to take advantage of everything that we're offering. Before you start classes, go to the blog that was outlined by Dr. Hibbert and check out all the information that's there. Be sure to make sure that you're checking your UWO emails regularly, because we won't be emailing your email address that you used as an applicant. We will now be all of our communication to you will go through your UWO account. If you want to have that forwarded, that's fine, but just make sure that you have it sorted out so that you are regularly looking at those emails. If there's something you were supposed to do and you say, oh, I didn't check my email, that's your responsibility. Again, this is a professional program. So all of your actions, not just in class, but all of these actions in terms of your self-management and time management and those sorts of things are about you learning how to become the professional version of yourself. Part of that is getting your documentation in. Eliza is the person that you'll be sending that to. She'll be making sure that it's all recorded and documented. So if you have any questions around that, you can submit an email to the EDUWO address and hopefully get all of that in by August 19th. Other questions that we've had are about all of the COVID policies. The reality is, and I'm sure every one of you is used to this by now from the last 2.5 almost years, is that we don't know what the policies are going to be. What the policy is today, it could change tomorrow. And if I tell you what the policy is going to be in September, something could pivot and we might have to change that. So the reality is that we are doing everything we can to ensure that as an institution, we're adhering to best safety, public safety, but also in terms of your educational experience and balancing those things and your mental health and well-being. So it's a delicate balance between all these things. The intention is that we will be fully in person for the entire year. Whether or not we're going to be needing to wear masks in some scenarios and not others, that is possible, but we don't yet know. And even if in September you don't need to wear masks, that doesn't mean that in October that might change, and if there's a spike in cases that you might need to wear masks. So if you do have questions about those things, check the Western's COVID website. One thing that's likely is that vaccinations are going to be required. So you can check out the vaccination policy as well for Western. The other thing that might be updated on that is for this past year, vaccination was 2 doses. I don't know if they're going to change that now to include booster shots, but all of that information will be updated as it's changed. And again, those updates typically come with an email to your UWO account from the health and safety people. So check that as well for updates on what's happening with regards to COVID protocols. All right, next slide. So classes, how many? This sounded terrifying when Kathy was talking about it. And I spent the last 8 years working with engineering students, and their number of hours in classes was massive. So I think my advice to you on this is that tell yourself what you want to be true. So when you look at this, if you want to be overwhelmed and feel like this isn't possible, tell yourself, this is ridiculous. This is impossible. I can't possibly do 15 courses at a time. And you will end up feeling overwhelmed and like this isn't possible. If you want to feel like this is fine, I can manage this, I can cope. This sounds like a lot, but it's really not that bad. Then tell yourself that, and that becomes true. So I'm not just saying this, there's actually a lot of research around this. And my motto in life is what for solutions, you're going to find them. So I'm going to give you an example of a study. It says my internet connection is unstable. Am I unstable? Am I like, you can still hear me okay? Okay, good.
You are cutting out just a little bit, Claire, but I won't answer whether you're unstable. Your internet might be unstable.
Okay, so hopefully I'm stable even if my internet isn't. Okay, so yes, so I was going to tell you an example of a study. So there's this study where they brought people in and they gave them a smoothie. Here, my smoothie. So here's my smoothie, and they're like, here, drink this smoothie. It's a low calorie diet smoothie. It's only 90 calories. It's great for weight loss, low sugar, fantastic. And everybody drank that smoothie. And then they did a blood test to see how their body had responded to what they just drank. So then they brought in that same group a week later, they gave them another smoothie. This time it was like an ultra high protein, rich, decadent smoothie with 600 calories and like 30 grams of fat and high sugar content. And so they drank that smoothie, and then they did another blood test to see how their body had responded. Now, what happened with the blood was exactly aligned for what they would expect from somebody who drank a low calorie smoothie to somebody who drank a high calorie smoothie. The irony is, or the learning piece is, that the two smoothies were exactly the same. It just shows the power of our mind in dictating quite literally our reality. So I want you all to come into this program feeling confident. Again, even if you think it's a little bit overwhelming, even if it's a bit uncomfortable, even if you're a bit afraid of that practicum or afraid of failure, tell yourself that this is exciting rather than terrifying. Tell yourself that you're up to the challenge rather than you're not up to the challenge. And that's going to go a long way in helping you to get through this program, and then also helping you to empathize and role model for the students that you're interacting with when you go into practicum. So what else can I tell you? When are your classes? Starting at 8:30, ending at 6:30. Some days they end at 6:30. A lot of the time it's much sooner than that. You'll have breaks during the day as well. Right now, I have the timetable with Fridays not scheduled with classes. I'm hoping that we can keep it that way, but we are finalizing instructors and their availability. So for the most part, I'm anticipating that you will be Monday to Thursday, but Friday is expected to be a day for you to still be working on this program. So again, as Dr. Hibbert said, it's a time where you can be catching up on work, doing your readings, preparing for things. So really do commit to that full week. Where are we? We are at 1137 Western Road. I didn't even know that. I just come here. I didn't know what the address was, but good to know. Textbooks sometimes, and less every year. We're really moving more towards online resources and other things like that. But you don't need to worry about buying books in advance. As I said, we're still finalizing the instructors, and those instructors will then finalize their syllabus. And really, you don't need to worry about purchasing books until the first week of school, because that's when you'll have a better sense from the instructor what is absolutely necessary, what are things that might be available at a library or online resource so that you're not spending money on textbooks unnecessarily. So you don't need to worry about that yet. Wait till you get here and your instructors can give you clear guidance on that. How do I make my schedule? You don't, we do it. That's going to be Rebecca and I, again, learning experience coming up for me in the next month. And Rebecca and I will be pulling all of your timetables together. And then once we've got those done, we will be putting those into your student center that you can log into, and then you'll be able to see what your timetable is. That's probably going to be mid-August. It says early, but I'm going to be kind to myself and Rebecca and say it's probably realistically going to be mid-August because I'm new, and yeah, there we go. You can blame it on me if there's a problem. Can you adjust your schedule? There's not a lot of adjustment that can be done because you do have a lot of things that you are taking that are teachables, and they're only offered at one time. There's a little bit, if there's something, say you start in that first week and there's something that you just feel is not right, or you hear something else that you wanted to switch some of those more elective courses, then we can work with you on trying to make those adjustments. But there's not a lot of opportunity to change schedules around. Absence policy, really just being as responsible as you can, as you would as a professional in any work environment. Same thing here, that if you aren't going to be able to attend a class or deliver on an assignment or an expectation, then just be sure to let your instructor know, preferably ahead of time if you can. Obviously, with the continuation of COVID in the community, then being responsible and not coming to class sick, those sorts of things. And I think everybody's been pretty flexible and understanding on this. The key is just clear communication and clear expectations between you and your course instructor. And when will you know your specialty area? So that's going to be coming up soon. Rebecca was focused on getting this going. So now she's going to focus on informing you about the specialty areas that you will have in addition to your other classes.
I just wanted to jump in real quick and make a note about the timetable. For those of you that are former Western students, you'll know that on your student center, you can see when courses are added or dropped from your schedule. This can change over the course of the summer. So if you see a course getting added, please don't assume that that is your final schedule. We will send you an email when that schedule is finalized. So please don't be alarmed if you see changes throughout the summer.
Thank you. All right, is there another slide for me, or is that, oh no, this is Joanne. Excellent. Oh, before Joanne, can I just get everybody to input a reaction, an emoticon of how you're feeling right now? I like to gauge how people are feeling when I can't see their faces. So if you can go into the reactions and just post a face that represents how you're feeling right now, it'd just be fun to see. Erin's in love. Doesn't that mean she is getting married soon? So that's probably a good thing. Oh no. Oh, Kathy's laughing so hard. She's crying. I thought she was just crying. Okay. Great.
A cat in there somewhere as well.
A cat. Oh, somebody's feeling like a cat. Davis is just happy. Davis and Mavis are both happy. That's nice. Oh, mostly happy. Oh, Amanda's looking cool with her sunglasses. That's good. All right, well, feel free to change your emoticon as we go through the presentation. Then we'll know if we're doing something that we shouldn't be. All right, I'll pass it over to Joanne.
Thanks, Claire. As mentioned earlier, I am Joanne Lombardi. I'm the Practicum and Community Engagement Coordinator. And with my wonderful colleague, Wendy, we take care of all the placements that will occur over the next 2 years. You will be scheduled to have 2 different Practicum placements each year for a total of 4. And it is our responsibility here to ensure that we're meeting the requirements as set out by the Ontario College of Teachers for Practicum. As it was mentioned earlier, we work with over 40 boards across the province. I think there's about 44. And actually then we even have some different community groups that we've had some very successful Practicum experiences in as well. So it's really exciting that our candidates can go far and wide. It's exciting that our candidates can return home perhaps, or try out a location where they may envision themselves wanting to teach somewhere in the future. And it's really gratifying to know that our candidates do extremely well across the province. They're very well received into all of these schools, and they leave a real lasting impression on the communities that they walk into. So that really does support our job when we reach out to people to say that we need placements for Western candidates, and they're more than happy to welcome us. It is important, however, that there are lots of things that you'll hear over the course of the 2 years to pay attention to, because there's lots of requirements, lots of do's and don'ts related to this whole process, especially working with 44 boards. Things will look different in different pockets of the province, and it will be your responsibility to ensure that you are meeting those requirements. As Kathy said at the beginning, we have many masters, and you will find that in the program for yourself. You will have many masters. You will be notified by the Practicum office about things that we ask you to do, that you must do. And then there will be other requirements that you must comply with in order to go on to a placement. And they may look different than maybe one of your friends or colleagues who's in another location. And so there's usually not too much conflict with these things, but it sometimes can be a little bit confusing. And we're here to help you sort through that process. So you will receive, as noted, lots of updates on an ongoing basis. Our newsletter is really a very efficient and effective way to keep you updated. And the Practicum updates tend to be quite lengthy in there, but at least it's there. The newsletters are archived, so you can always return back to it. Just to ensure that you're getting some important information that you need. We have not yet invited you to choose your boards of choice. That will be forthcoming. We're still in the process of getting you enrolled. You're enrolled, but we have to add you to our old-fashioned, somewhat clunky and wonky database. And if I apologize for that throughout the year, I'm just telling you the facts. It's a little bit clunky from time to time. But once we get you in our database, that will then allow you to have access to what we refer to as the portal. And the portal is where we will direct you to go to choose your school boards of choice. And you'll see all the school boards of choice listed there, and it's just a question of choosing the ones you want. We will ask you to pick your school boards of choice for all of the Practicum placements, 2 per year, but don't be alarmed. There will be opportunities before each placement period to make an adjustment if necessary. So right now you may be coming to Western and living in London for the year, and in year 2, and then you might choose London locations, and then maybe in year 2 you'll return home and you would like to then have a placement in Ottawa. And that's fine. So whatever you choose for Practicum 2, 3, and 4, you will always be given a chance prior to make an adjustment. Practicum 1, we do want you to think about that one. That will happen in November of year 1, and we will begin working on those promptly, late summer, certainly early September. And that's a long and elaborate process. So we do need your information in advance so that we can begin our search, if you will. But as I said, the choices will be there. You will be able to make adjustments as required prior to each placement block, but do give some careful consideration, especially to Practicum 1 for now. We do encourage people to stay within the same school board within the same year for lots of reasons. It creates some continuity for you. It creates some opportunity for networking for you. There's sometimes for board requirements, if you're in one board and they have a certain health and safety module you have to do, and then you move to another board and they have a different health and safety module you have to do, and you haven't realized that. So there's lots of reasons why staying within a board for 1 year makes sense. However, that's not a hard rule. But we do want you to give careful consideration to your practicum placement location. As Kathy and Claire have both noted, this is a program that is professional, it is rigorous, it is demanding, and certainly that will remain true when you are on a placement. It is very much like a full-time job every day that you're in school, with expectation for preparation in the evening and even likely on the weekend. So you'll have to learn, if you haven't yet, how to balance all these amazing things that are going on. You're learning, you're growing, your family, your personal life, work obligations, and balance will become really important to your success. But we can't minimize and reduce the practicum requirements. They are what they are. And that is something that you'll definitely hear more about as time goes on. So consider, your board of choice carefully. It's good to have supports around you. So if you're, if you are able to go to a board and bunk in with your older sibling, that could be very supportive or not. You have to make that personal decision. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So just to reiterate, we will notify you when you can go online to select your boards of choice. Okay, once that has been done, then we officially kind of close the portal. You might try to log in and you won't see too much at that moment in time, because we're working behind the scenes to find your placements. Okay, once placements have been secured and confirmed, we'll send you another notification that you can go back to that same portal and log back in, and you'll receive information of your school, your teacher's name, your grade, your subject area. It will give you the school address, the principal address, and the associate teacher address. Okay, and at that will be close to the practicum date. We work as hard as we can to get it to you in a timely manner, and we try to have that to you, sort of 2 weeks before placement, but you can't hold me to that date. We sometimes will have placements confirmed right up to the day before placement begins, and you need to know that. Many of our partner boards work with a variety of faculties of education. We're not the only ones that send students to them. And so some of these boards have departments dedicated to the placement process. So they know our timeline, they know our dates, they know our requirements and our schedule, but it sometimes takes them a while to get back to us. So patience will be key, and along the way, we'll keep you notified. Okay, if there are going to be challenges or issues with the placement, you will hear directly from us. Okay, so just know that. And sometimes some people will find out their placement and you'll log in and you won't have one. That's okay. You're on our list and we're working hard on your behalf. Okay, so please know that. So as noted, board choices, we can make those adjustments prior to placement. You only pick one board per placement. So it's not like you pick your first 3 choices. You pick one board, and that's the board we work with to find you a placement. If we run into a problem, we will directly contact you and say that particular board has nothing in that subject area, in that geographic region, whatever, and we'll start to problem solve. And it has been true over the past few years, especially with COVID, that we sometimes had to stretch a little bit, and some people were asked to go to a neighboring board. So for example, if we didn't have a placement in Waterloo region, some people said, that's fine, I can get to Guelph, that would be Wellington. So it's not that far of a drive. So those are the kinds of conversations that will happen with myself and you on a case-by-case scenario. But just do know that we have an extremely successful practicum placement record. I can truly say I'm very proud of the team here in this office. Over the last 2 years, when there was a lot of confusion in schools and a lot of hesitancy to host candidates, our faculty of education had an extremely high placement rate, and all of our candidates in the last 2 years graduated on time with practicum records intact. And I'm not sure every faculty in Ontario can actually claim that. So it takes a lot of creativity sometimes. It will sometimes take some flexibility on behalf of our candidates who are willing to make some adjustments and some changes in order to keep moving forward in their practicum experiences. But we'll work with you on that on a case-by-case scenario. And certainly as things change in education, I know there are many associate teachers who are really looking forward to kind of getting back to being part of our team and welcoming our candidates once again. You are not on campus at all during practicum. You will report to school on a regular basis. If you're going to be absent while on placement for any reason, you must obviously notify your associate teacher immediately, and you are also requested or required to give us an email as well. And more information about all that will come later, but you will be reporting to your practicum every day. In order to prepare for practicum, I'm not going to get too much into this now. We will have a chance to meet again prior to your first placement, okay? We will have a session that is completely dedicated to preparing for your Practicum 1 experience. So there will be a lot of information shared at that time. We do have a Practicum handbook that is available online, and it has a lot of good detail in it. It is going to have some modifications and revisions this summer, but we'll make sure that you have access to that information too, okay? We are at this time collecting documentation. I know Rebecca and others have been in touch with you regularly about the kinds of things that we do need to get ready to start the program. One of those very important documents is your police record check, which includes the vulnerable sector screening or the vulnerable sector check as part of it. That is a really important part. We have to verify to our partner boards that you have, presented that to us. And we save a copy of that in your electronic file, and we ask that you carry that with you when you go on placement. We have implemented a process whereby we are requesting that to be given to us twice a year. Many, not all, but many school boards themselves have implemented a twice a year, every 6-month verification of that VSS. And what we have found over the last few years with 44 boards having slightly different requirements sometimes, and hold on to that thought, and then sometimes moving people from different boards, we sometimes found, oh, we can't move somebody to the neighboring board because their police check doesn't work for that board. It's not within the last 6 months. So there's lots of, challenging things that we have to make sure we can streamline to support a very efficient practicum process. And as a result of that, we do now require that we get a VSS that we can get that will get you through term 1 from June to December. And then come December, we'll ask that you reapply so that we can have a new VSS for late December or January that will get you through from January to June. Reason being, while our calendar year does have an end date, there have been occasions where some candidates are on placement a little bit later for a variety of reasons. You might all anticipate right now that you're going on placement in November, but some of you may not. Some of you may be ill and unable to go in November, and that's okay. We'll support you later in the year if we can. And so we work really hard to adjust the calendar for practicum. We can't adjust the calendar for your courses, but when it comes to practicum, I do have a little bit of an opportunity to get you a practicum placement, but as a result of that, we want to make sure your VSS will support that, okay? Lots more information on practicum to come over the next little while, and I do look forward to meeting you here on campus and when we have an introduction to practicum later in the year.
Okay, over to me. Hi, everyone. My name is Erin, and as mentioned in the beginning, I'm the program coordinator for the Bachelor of Education. I just want to say thanks to everyone for joining and for continuing to listen. I know we're approaching time, so we've only got a few more slides left, so thank you for bearing with us. So I coordinate the Alternative Field Experience program within teacher education. And so what the AFE program is an opportunity for teacher candidates to get educational experience outside of the classroom. So something a little bit different to what you might experience when you're in the practicum scenarios that Joanne will be putting you in. So previously, there are specific time blocks where teacher candidates would engage in those alternative field experiences. But we learned a lot during the pandemic, and we're actually going to continue with a little bit more of a flexible approach. So on the academic calendar for year 2, you'll see that there are time blocks for AFE, and those will remain there. but you will have the opportunity to actually begin engaging in alternative field experiences starting as soon as this November. So the reason that AFE hours aren't eligible prior to November is because we want you to have completed some coursework prior to engaging in those, so that you have some knowledge to be able to apply and reflect on. So you can start those in November, and you can complete AFE hours up until the end of April in your graduating year. And there's a total of 210 AFE hours that need to be accumulated. So those can be obtained in one or several alternative field experiences. So you'll hear more from me about that a little bit closer to November, where you'll learn more about the proposal form, self-evaluations, and supervisor reports. Now, for the alternative field experience, it is a little bit different. As Joanne mentioned with Practicum, we do place you, so you don't do your own matching. We place you in a school with some of your preferences, whereas the alternative field experience is completely self-sourced. So you decide which organization or which position you would like to have for those placements, and then you take steps to have that opportunity provided for you. So because you are a Western student, while you're on those placements, there needs to be an agreement between the organization you're supporting and the university. So we do have a list of pre-approved organizations and opportunities that you can complete your AFE at. But if there's something that you already know, in November you're already teaching music lessons or volunteering, or you already have an ongoing extracurricular or paid or volunteer opportunity that you're planning to do for the next couple of years, connect with me and let me know if that's something that you think might qualify as an AFE, and we can definitely look to have an agreement in place for something you already have in mind. So just reach out to me, my email is there, and we can chat more about self-selecting your AFE. In terms of the specialty area, you are encouraged to connect at least one of your AFE opportunities to your specialty area. Again, this is an opportunity for you to take what you've learned within the program and apply it and implement it in a real world scenario. So the benefit of that being connected to your specialty area only improves if you're able to make that connection. So the next slide is me as well. So employment prep. So part of our program is a commitment to preparing you professionally. So not just to help you succeed within the program, but to help you succeed as a professional teacher once you leave this program. And so Kathy had alluded to this earlier in the presentation, but we do hold our transition to professional practice professional development series throughout the year that I also coordinate. And we also have a career expo that happens in January. So there are a lot of different professional development opportunities and workshops and employment related opportunities that are offered throughout the 2 years of the program. So again, closer to the beginning of the year, you will hear more from me about that T2P schedule. And then in terms of jobs that teacher candidates can get, we do have a job and a volunteer board that's on our blog that was highlighted earlier. So you can have an opportunity to have notifications sent to you when new jobs and volunteer positions are available. So you can have opportunities to look at those jobs and potentially apply for them throughout the year as well. And this is over to Claire.
Back to me, I'll just be really quick. In terms of bursaries, there are needs-based bursaries available through the central institution. So there's a link there that you can go and find out more about that. And you can also find out information about BEd specific scholarships and bursaries at the link there. Most of our scholarships actually are for graduating students, but certainly if you're in financial need, Western Student Financial Services does have support and help, so you can connect with them. We've also had questions about how do academic-based scholarships work in a pass-fail program. Quite enlightening for me, because when I started in May, this was one of the first things that I was responsible for doing, was figuring out who was going to receive the graduating awards. And I felt kind of daunted by the idea of how on earth do we select winners when we don't have those numbers in front of us, like the 92 and the 89 and the 94. And I actually found it so much more rewarding And I felt like I had better information about the people that we were giving the awards to than what those numbers on a transcript say. So really what we did was we focus on feedback and nominations from your instructors. So we'll be touching base with your first year instructors, with your second year instructors, asking them for feedback on some of the top students and what they've been doing and why they feel they're performing exceptionally well. And then we also look at the information that we get from your practicum placements and the information from your associate teachers as well as your mentors. And we use all of those points of data and information to assess who best represents what that award was created for. And really it went fairly smoothly this year. So I'm excited to do it again next year. And I think it's really nice for students to not have to focus on a particular number and more focus on your engagement in your learning and your performance in this program and how you connect with students, associate teachers, those relationships. And basically the same answer for the honor roll distinction, those sorts of things. We use the same criteria. That's it.
Okay, so I'm the last slide here, second last until our thank you. So a couple more questions here about connecting with each other. So really excited to meet this cohort in September, but I'm sure you're all excited to start meeting each other digitally as soon as you can. So we had a question about a peer mentoring program, which has been run in the past by our Education Students Council. And that was made in response to the pandemic to create a little bit more interaction between students. So we will collaborate with the ESC to see if that will continue to be offered this year, but that will be depending on what the fall looks like and what the council is going to decide. And there is a Facebook page for current students. And so Rebecca is going to follow up after this meeting within the next week with a question and answer document where all of these links will be clickable. So you won't just see them in a PowerPoint, but you'll be able to go through the document and be able to find this link. So there is a Facebook group. If you're in it, great. If not, that link will be shared with you within the next week and you can click it, join, and connect with other peers coming into the program.
All right. Thank you so much, guys, for coming. We really appreciate your attendance. If you have any other questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. As Erin mentioned, we will be sending out a recording and a summary of the Q&A so you can access all of these links. Additionally, all of our contact information will be there so you can make sure that your question gets directed to the appropriate person. Again, I want to thank you for coming, and we really look forward to seeing you at orientation. Hopefully this was helpful, and we are so excited to welcome you.